A homeless woman returns a fortune to a millionaire. His reaction will leave you speechless. Evelyn sat on the sidewalk, her back against a cold brick wall, worn and frayed. The bustling city throbbed around her, people shuffling by, faces buried in screens, oblivious to the world beyond their own. Sirens wailed in the distance, overlaid with the chatter of a million lives intersecting and diverging. She wished she could disappear into that crowd, but she was stuck here, visible but invisible. That day, as the sun peeked through the towering skyscrapers, she noticed something unusual. A briefcase, sleek and untouched, lying abandoned on the pavement. The curiosity clawed at her. A briefcase? In this fast-paced city? She felt a shiver of excitement mixed with dread. Was it a trap, or a fortune waiting to be discovered? In a moment of urgency, she edged closer, heart racing, knowing she had to make a decision. The briefcase was impossibly heavy. Inside, stacks of cash glimmered under the fading sunlight, crisp and untouched. Evelyn's breath caught in her throat. A fortune. The devil on her shoulder urged her to take it, to run. But the memory of her past life, of helping others as a social worker, rose up like a phantom, whispering of integrity and choices. As she debated, time ticked on. Would anyone notice it missing? The clamor of the city seemed to fade, and all that existed was this moment. She hesitated, feeling the weight of not just the money, but the secret it represented. Whose was it? What lives were tied to that wealth? Suddenly, a shadow fell over her. She looked up, startled, into the piercing eyes of a man whose aura screamed power and isolation. Marcus Hawthorne. A reclusive millionaire, he was known for his shadowy dealings and an air of somber mystery that surrounded him. Rumors of the dark secrets behind his fortune buzzed in the city like a swarm of bees, tales of greed and betrayal. Here he was, standing before her, wearing a military-style jacket that felt out of place against the backdrop of luxury. "That's mine," he said, voice low and firm. The world around them stilled, breaths caught. People paused, glancing over, with widened eyes as tension crackled like electricity between them. Evelyn felt the heat rise to her cheeks. "You can't just take it. This could change everything for me." The desperation fell from her lips, a raw emotion for all to see. "I don't want your help," he shot back, but the tremor in his voice revealed uncertainty. "You have no idea what I've done to get here." In that chaotic moment, their worlds collided with the force of an earthquake. She stood, fists clenched at her sides, breathless, facing the ghost of her own past and the horrors that wealth could hide. The briefcase lay between them, a chasm filled with secrets and choices, an unopened Pandora's box. Eyes locked, they stood on the brink. Just when it felt like they might bridge the gap, the air thickened with unspoken truths. "What if the money isn't even yours?" Evelyn accused, her heart pounding. Was it possible? A flicker of fear crossed Marcus's face. "I have to go, you don't understand." But before he could turn away, a realization dawned, illuminating shadows in both their histories. What if their lives weren't as distant as they thought? He hesitated, breath hitching. "You're wrong." Their connection, forged in chaos, simmered with unsaid words, leaving questions lingering like ghosts in the air. "Hey, before we continue with this incredible story, I need to give you an important warning. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube removed their subscriptions without notice. Just take a quick look at the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I don't want you to miss any exclusive content coming up. And since you're here, smash that like button because it really helps me with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who is part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's interact. Their connection, forged in chaos, simmered with unsaid words, leaving questions lingering like ghosts in the air. Suddenly, a screeching noise shattered the tension. A black SUV careened around the corner, tires squealing against the asphalt. People scattered, scrambling to escape its path. Evelyn's heart pounded as she turned, eyes wide, a sense of impending doom crawling up her spine. The vehicle skidded to a halt, inches away from them. The door swung open. A man in a suit, slick and menacing, leaped out, shouting, "Marcus, get in!" Panic danced in his eyes. Marcus stiffened, confusion flickering across his face. "What are you doing here?" he snapped, voice strained. Evelyn felt an icy grip of fear stone her heart. Who was this man? Why did he look so frantic? But before she could process it, the suit-wearing man grabbed Marcus by the arm, pulling him toward the car. "They know. We can't stay here." "Know what?" Evelyn shouted, feeling the world spin around her. What's happening? But the man ignored her. Marcus's expression morphed from angry to terrified in an instant. "Evelyn, I can't explain now," he stammered, eyes darting back to the approaching chaos. A group of shadowy figures emerged from the crowd, moving with an unsettling determination. They wore dark clothes, faces obscured by hoods. The atmosphere thickened, an oppressive weight of fear closing in. Evelyn felt her pulse race. "Why are they after you?" She felt helpless, words tumbling from her lips, seeking answers that wouldn't come. "They're here for the money," Marcus said, his voice scarcely above a whisper, fear evident in every syllable. "You have to trust me. It's more complicated than you think." Just then, the first figure broke away from the group, rushing toward them. In a flash, it all unfolded like a cruel story. With a surge of adrenaline, Evelyn lunged back, heart hammering. The figure revealed a gun, raising it, pointing it straight at Marcus. The crowd gasped, a collective breath held in horror. Time slowed. The air crackled with danger, everything around them fading into a blur of sound. Evelyn's mind raced as she tried to grasp what was happening. The fortune, the briefcase. What had it all meant? Suddenly, this wasn't just about money. It was life or death. "Get back," Marcus shouted, shoving Evelyn behind him. But it was too late. The gunman sneered, his finger twitching on the trigger. An ear-splitting gunshot rang out, and then nothing. Silence enveloped the area, thick and heavy. A gasp escaped from the onlookers. Bystanders whispered frantically, confusion and terror mixing in their eyes. What had just happened? Evelyn blinked, struggling to understand. Her heart plunged. Marcus fell to his knees, a look of shock and betrayal etched on his face. Blood dripped from his side, soaking into the cracked pavement beneath him. "No!" she screamed, rushing forward, instinct overriding any rational thought. "Marcus!" But the gunman was already retreating, vanishing into the throng of people, leaving only chaos in his wake. As sirens wailed in the distance, the world around Evelyn blurred. She knelt beside him, trembling hands reaching for his wound. "You need help, please," he gasped, pain flickering across his features. "Evelyn, the money." He struggled to speak, voice low. It was never just money. Her chest tightened, the words hanging heavy in the air between them. "What do you mean?" He attempted to lift his gaze, desperation piercing through his pain. "You don't know who I really am." An explosion of fear coursed through her. The truth lingered there, just out of reach, trembling on the edge of revelation. But before she could demand it, the shadows moved again, a new threat emerging. An even darker enigma awaited them, and she couldn't help but wonder. What was this fortune really tied to? What horrors lay beneath the surface of Marcus's past? Evelyn's breath caught in her throat. As dread washed over her, was this just the beginning? Evelyn knelt beside Marcus, panic surging through her. Blood pooled around him, dark and ominous against the cracked pavement. "Hang on, please. Help is coming," she cried, her voice breaking. The crowd around them buzzed with murmurs, eyes wide and horrified, but no one moved to intervene. Marcus gasped, struggling to breathe. "Evelyn." His voice wavered, words clinging to his pain. "You don't understand." But before he could finish, a blaring siren sliced through the air. The police were close, but their arrival felt like a ticking clock, every second stretching painfully. She felt the weight of the world collapsing around her. Suddenly, a voice broke through the chaos. "Get away from him." It was the man in the suit who had pulled Marcus moments ago. He rushed back, shoving through the crowd. A wild panic filled his eyes. "You have to go. They're not far behind." "Who are you?" Evelyn shot back, anger bubbling beneath her fear. She didn't want to let Marcus go. The frantic urgency in his eyes clawed at her heart. But before he could answer, a fireball erupted from an alleyway. Flames leapt, illuminating the dark with a blazing neon glow, engulfing everything in its path. Screams ripped through the crowd as people darted for safety. Chaos, spiraling out of control. The heat was intense, clammy, and terrifying. "Move," the suited man barked, grabbing Marcus by the waist. "We can cover more ground. We can't stay here." "No," Evelyn shouted, refusing to let go. "I can't leave him." But the panic-stricken crowd pushed her back, forcing her away from Marcus, who weakly reached out toward her, desperation clear in his eyes. "Evelyn!" In that instant, the world felt wrong. Reality twisted and crumpled like paper. Then, as if time warped, a dark figure emerged from the flames. A woman, tall and fierce, her face shadowed, but her intentions clear. Pushed through the smoke, she looked at Marcus, eyes like daggers, narrowing with recognition. "Marcus, you should have stayed away," she spat, venom coating her words. "You don't know what you're dealing with." Evelyn's heart raced. Who was she? What did she mean? Marcus's eyes widened. "No, you can't be here." But before he could finish, the woman lunged, a flicker of silver in her hand, a knife glinting in the chaos. The crowd gasped again, a collective intake of breath mingling with the smell of smoke and fear. "Get down," the suited man barked, pushing Marcus and Evelyn behind him. The blade flashed, a blur of movement. Time stopped as Evelyn felt a chill run down her spine. With a sickening thud, the knife found its mark, not in Marcus, but in the suited man. He gasped, staggering back, clutching his side. The chaos erupted around them, cries of horror filling the air. "No, no," Marcus screamed, eyes wild with panic. "You'll ruin everything." As he collapsed onto the pavement, Evelyn's world splintered. The briefcase, the money. What did it mean? Had Marcus been involved in something deeper, darker? In that fleeting moment, she grappled with a harrowing truth. The weight of all they'd fought for, all that had just begun, twisted into something insidious. She glanced at the woman, whose smirk twisted with a haunting familiarity, a face she felt she'd seen before. "Evelyn, you must listen to me. You can't trust anyone." Marcus's voice faltered, bleeding with desperation. As the flames licked the sky higher, a chilling realization gripped her. This was far from over. In those chaotic moments, landslides of secrets and truths lay just beneath the surface, waiting to erupt. And Evelyn, caught in the web of deception and desire, faced a choice she never asked for. The crowd faded, the flames howled. Marcus's blood stained the ground, mingling with the echoes of betrayal. What lay at the heart of this twisted fate? She felt the pull of destiny tightening around her like a noose. Who was she really? And why had it all led to this very moment? The streets echoed the raw beats of a mystery unfolding, one she never saw coming, leaving only questions in its wake. Evelyn knelt beside Marcus, panic coursing through her veins. Blood pooled around him, a dark stain spreading across the cracked pavement. "Help is coming. Just hold on," she cried, voice cracking under the weight of fear. The crowd surged like a tide, whispers and gasps rippling through the onlookers. Nobody stepped forward, just a sea of shocked faces staring in horror. "Evelyn," Marcus breathed, sharp pain lacing his words. "You don't understand." His voice trembled, urgency hanging in the air. Before she could ask what he meant, that woman, the one who had attacked the suited man, charged through the chaos, eyes locked on Marcus. The flames behind her flickered like the horrors of a waking nightmare. "You should have stayed away," she yelled. "What do you mean?" Evelyn shouted back, trying to make sense of the chaos, her heart racing. She glanced at Marcus, who looked more frightened than ever. "What's going on?" But the woman lunged forward. lip curled in a sneer. A knife glistened in her hand, sharp and deadly. The crowd gasped as she aimed it at Marcus. "You can't get away with this. Stop," Evelyn cried out. The moment hung in the air, heavy and thick, but something shifted. Just as the woman raised her blade, a sound pierced the tension. A loud crack, followed by a thunderous boom. A massive explosion erupted from a nearby building, flames shooting skyward, debris raining down. The very ground shook beneath their feet, throwing people off balance. Evelyn watched in horror as chaos exploded around them, the woman stumbling back, the knife falling from her grip, clattering against the pavement. The crowd erupted into a frenzy, screams ripping through the air as people scrambled for safety. In the chaos, Evelyn felt someone grab her arm. She turned to find Marcus, eyes wide with both pain and fear, struggling to keep himself upright. "We have to go, now," he shouted, urgency bursting from him. Before she could respond, the suited man, now bleeding and panting, caught her gaze. He staggered toward them, gritting his teeth. "Get out of here. This isn't safe." Panic surged through Evelyn, confusion mixing with adrenaline. What's happening? "Who are you people?" But the question never reached his ears. The building continued to smolder, flames climbing higher, and sirens wailed in the distance. Just then, the woman shouted, her voice cutting through the noise. "You think you can escape? You'll regret this, Marcus." Suddenly, amidst all the chaos, an unexpected figure emerged. A little girl, no more than 8, with wide eyes and wild curls, dashed through the crowd. She raced toward Marcus, calling out, "Daddy." The world stopped. Evelyn felt her heart drop. What? No. She looked between the girl and Marcus, and realization hit her like a blow. "He's your father?" Marcus's face twisted in horror. "No, she shouldn't be here," he gasped, his strength waning. Evelyn's mind spun. Who was this child? And what did it mean? The chaos around them faded, everything blurring in a haze. She looked back at the girl, whose innocent eyes held a world of fear and love, questioning everything like Evelyn was. "Daddy, please," the girl cried, reaching for Marcus desperately. The woman, the one with the knife, let out a chilling laugh. "You've exposed us all, Marcus. You thought you could run?" The flames crackled, shadows danced, and time seemed to freeze. Marcus grasped his daughter's hand, blood dripping down his side, panic carving lines on his face. "I didn't want this for you, Ava." Ava, the name, echoed in Evelyn's mind, weaving a web of complexity she never anticipated. What had she stumbled into? What web of lies were they tangled in? She felt dizzy, struggling to catch her breath. As more shadows approached, the truth twisted in a way that left her reeling. "What's really happening?" Evelyn shouted, searching for answers. But with every heartbeat, the darkness grew closer. And just when it felt like she would finally understand, the ground shifted again beneath their feet. The weight of all the secrets felt like a storm. "Run!" Marcus shouted, pulling Ava against him. The blast echoed, and Evelyn knew their moment of clarity was slipping away. What was the truth? What buried secrets were waiting to be revealed? The world around her swarmed into chaos, and as she watched them flee, a petrifying thought took root. What if everything she thought she knew was just a dangerous facade? And amidst that torrent, one question loomed larger than all the rest. Who could she trust in this crumbling world? Evelyn's heart thundered in her chest as chaos enveloped them. The screams echoed around her, the flames crackled, and Marcus's blood seeped into the pavement like a dark promise. She had to move, had to get Ava to safety. But her mind was spinning, questions clawing at her insides like wild animals. "Daddy," Ava cried, pulling at Marcus's hand, her little face twisted in fear and confusion. "I'm right here, baby," Marcus gasped. "But we need to go, now." Evelyn glanced at the woman, the one who had attacked them. A flicker of recognition sparked in her mind. Who was she? What did Marcus mean he didn't want his daughter involved? Suddenly the air shifted. An overwhelming shadow loomed over them. The crowd parted, like the Red Sea, revealing a figure moving through the smoke, calm and purposeful, as if they had stepped off a movie set. It was a man in a tailored suit, stark against the chaos. He carried himself with an air of authority, eyes scanning the scene, keen like a predator's. "Marcus," he yelled, voice cutting through the din. "This is your last chance." Marcus's eyes widened. "No, not you." The fear in his voice hit Evelyn like a slap. "What's happening?" Evelyn shouted, her voice rising above the chaos. But nobody was listening. All attention drawn to the looming figure. The crowd held its breath, fear etched across faces. "You thought you could escape?" the man taunted, a smirk twisting his lips. He reached into his suit jacket, and for a moment it felt like time stilled. "Get away from him," Evelyn shouted, body moving instinctively to shield Marcus and Ava. The flames flickered, painting shadows against the wreckage. But then the man pulled out not a weapon, but a small device, a sleek black box. "This ends now," he declared. Suddenly a blaring alarm erupted from the box, deafening and relentless. Everyone jolted, confusion spreading like wildfire. "Run," the suited man commanded, voice booming. The crowd panicked, scattering. "Evelyn, go," Marcus yelled, clutching at his side. His sprawl was becoming more desperate, breaths coming in shallow gasps. Ava cried out, clutching at him. But before Evelyn could comprehend what was happening, the box exploded with a flash of blinding light. The ground shuddered, sending her crashing backward. The world spun as a wave of heat washed over her. In an instant, intense clarity gripped her. What was once Marcus's pain was gone. The blood, the chaos, the knife, and the fears, all dissolved into nothing. A silence fell, a strange, numbing silence. She blinked, confusion overwhelming her senses. Around her, shadows wavered. Then she felt something strange. The air changed again, transforming into something thick, electric. Marcus stood, unharmed, the fire extinguished. The crowd froze, eyes wide. Panic turned to sheer disbelief. "How?" The suited man smirked again. "You really thought you could escape your past?" He taunted, but now there was an eerie calmness to him. Evelyn's breath caught. As she scanned the scene, something in Marcus shifted. He straightened, the shadows deepening in his gaze. "I didn't want you to know," he whispered, looking at Evelyn with an intensity that threatened to break her. "Know what?" she stammered, heart racing. The walls around them were crumbling. "What are you talking about?" A beat of silence hung heavy between them. Marcus's lips curled into a knowing smile. "I'm not who you think I am." Evelyn felt the ground drop beneath her. Everything she had built. Every fleeting moment they'd shared. It shattered like glass. Just then, the little girl tugged at Marcus's sleeve again. "Daddy?" she whispered, innocence hanging in the air like a fragile thread. In that moment, everything changed, and Evelyn's world tilted on its axis. What was she really looking at? Who was this man before her? "Who are you?" she breathed, fear pooling in her stomach. His grin broadened, eyes glinting. "I guess you'll find out soon enough." As the crowd buzzed with confusion, Evelyn felt a tightening in her chest. The truth loomed like a storm cloud, ready to unleash its fury. What had just unfolded? What lay hidden in his past, and how deeply was it intertwined with hers? Questions chased her thoughts, leaving her reeling with uncertainty. Everything felt dangerously sharp, teetering on the edge of a revelation that would change everything. And as the shadows loomed larger, she couldn't shake the realization. The story was far from over. Evelyn's heart raced as the crowd buzzed with confusion. Marcus looked at her, his expression shifting, an intensity pulsating in his gaze. "I'm not who you think I am," he said again, voice low and almost broken. Before she could process his words, a screeching sound pierced the air. A shadowy figure sprinted from the alley, dodging through the crowd. It was the woman, knife still glimmering in her hand, fury written all over her face. "You think you can hide from the truth?" she yelled. pointing an accusatory finger at Marcus. But in that split second, everything escalated. Just as the suited man stepped forward, another explosion rocked the ground. The air erupted into chaos. People screamed, ducking and covering as debris shattered around them. Evelyn stumbled, panic squeezing her chest as she caught a glimpse of Marcus pulling Ava close, shielding her from the madness. "Run," he shouted, urgency flooding his voice. But just then, she locked eyes with the suited man. Something flickered across his face, fear tinged with desperation. This wasn't just about Marcus anymore. The woman, unfazed by the explosions, lunged toward them. "You can't escape what you've done," she screamed, raising the knife. Her fury was palpable, her intentions clear as she bore down on Marcus. And suddenly, everything changed. The suited man moved with swiftness that seemed impossible. In a flash, he lunged, tackling the woman to the ground. Their bodies collided with a force that sent shockwaves through the crowd. "Let go." "Of me," she yelled, struggling against him, but the fight quickly turned brutal, drawing the attention of every bystander. Silence enveloped the chaos for a heartbeat as everyone turned to witness the unfolding drama. Evelyn squinted through the swirling dust and debris, her stomach twisting. Then it all hit her at once, a realization so shocking it left her breathless. She could see it in the suited man's eyes now. The look of recognition flickered, and with it, a hint of betrayal. "Marcus, you don't know, do you?" he shouted, his voice strained but clear. "You think you're running from your past, but it's staring you right in the face." Just then Ava cried, "What's happening, Daddy?" Her innocence was a stark contrast to the chaos, cutting through the frantic energy like a knife of its own. Marcus turned, confusion and fear mixing on his face. "What do you mean?" The woman seized her chance amidst the chaos. Wrenching free from the suited man's grip, she lunged for Marcus again, knife aimed with wicked precision. "You've always known. You're not just Marcus Hawthorne. You're—" Before she could finish, a flash of light erupted from the device in the suited man's hand. It flickered and ignited a ball of flame that sent everyone staggering back. Evelyn's instinct kicked in. She dove forward, pulling Ava behind her, feeling the heat wash over them. As the flames burst into the air, Marcus made a desperate leap, tackling. A woman again. But in that heartbeat of confusion, something else happened. Time froze as a pale figure stepped from the smoke. Evelyn squinted, her breath hitching. The figure wore an expensive suit, radiant yet ghostly, as if they had stepped out of a dim light. It was a woman, one Evelyn recognized, but never truly understood. "Mom?" It pierced through the chaos, sending a shockwave that rattled everyone. Evelyn watched as her mother, thought lost to years of regret, advanced toward the madness unfolding. She looked at Marcus, eyes wide, not with joy, but with a haunting sadness. "Evelyn, I'm sorry," her mother whispered, words heavy with secrets that spanned years. Evelyn's mind reeled. Everything she thought she knew came crashing down like a fragile house of cards. What did her mother have to do with all of this? Who was Marcus really? As the flames danced around them, the cloud of smoke thickened, enveloping Evelyn, Marcus, and Ava as they stood frozen. The realization buried deep inside her was like ice, spreading through her veins. "Mom," she shouted, but it was lost in the chaos. The world spun, uncertainty crackling in the air. The past wasn't just haunting Marcus. It was dragging her into memories, connections, secrets twisted together, tighter than she could imagine. And just when it seemed they might break free, the figures in the smoke shifted again, pulling all their fates into a sharper focus, driving home a truth that would change everything. What had she really walked into? The answer loomed like an approaching storm, and right when the haze started to clear, a chilling thought gripped her. Would she have to sacrifice everything she knew to figure it all out? Evelyn's heart raced as the smoke swirled around them, the world a chaos of fear and uncertainty. Her gaze locked onto Marcus, fear and confusion battling for control on his face. What do you mean you're not who I think you are? She gasped, urgency clawing at her throat. Before Marcus could respond, his mother's apparition shimmered in the flickering flames behind the crowd. Evelyn, she shouted, eyes glistening with remorse, you have to understand, he's not just anyone. Mom, what are you doing here? Evelyn yelled, panic rising as she struggled to comprehend the nightmare unfolding. The crowd's murmurs morphed into frantic whispers, confusion all around as people backed away, fear carving lines on their faces. But then came a piercing scream, cutting through the noise. A voice rang out from the shadows. You all need to listen. The suited man from before stood tall, urgency dripping from his words. Marcus is in danger. This is bigger than you think. The woman with the knife rose from the wreckage of her struggle, her eyes burning with fury. You've betrayed us all, Marcus, she spat, her voice echoing disdain. And that's when everything shifted. Out of nowhere, the ground shook violently, cracking like a whip. The shadows above parted, revealing a cloaked figure soaring through the air, a breathtaking sight amidst the chaos. As sunlight gleamed off the figure, the realization hit Evelyn like ice water. It was her brother, Jonathan, the sibling she thought was lost to the world, a ghost from her past. Jonathan, she breathed, shock flooding her veins. But you're supposed to be gone. I'm here to help, he shouted, descending with grace, urgency knitting his brow. You're all in danger, and Marcus is at the heart of it. The world slowed for a moment. Time felt suspended, weighty. The fear on Marcus's face morphed into disbelief. Jonathan? He staggered back, memories flooding his expression. You're alive? Evelyn's heart thudded painfully in her chest. The air around them thickened, a tapestry of accusation and regret tangled in the atmosphere. What is happening, Jonathan? She demanded, desperation echoing in her voice. I'll explain later, he urged, eyes darting to the woman, who seemed ready to pounce. But right now, we need to get everyone out of here. Unexpected tension crackled between him and Marcus. It felt electric. Questions lay heavy like a storm cloud. Why were you gone? Evelyn pressed, voice sharp. Because I had to protect you, he said, eyes locked onto hers, a sincerity that struck her deep. And I made enemies, dangerous ones, and they're here. The ground shook again, the shadows shifted, and the suit-clad man stumbled, his composure finally cracking. It's you. I thought you were dead. Jonathan turned, and Evelyn caught a glimpse of past bewilderments, gravitationally pulling them back into a shared history she thought had been buried. The flames roared higher, illuminating faces marked by terror and disbelief. Enough, the woman sneered, cutting through the fraught conversation. You'll regret this, Marcus, and all of you. What you don't understand is we're family too. Every moment felt suffocating, like the air had turned to lead. What does that mean? Marcus's voice shook, a blend of anger and confusion. But before she could process the wild revelation, a deafening crash echoed from the building behind them, a wall collapsing, sending debris tumbling like rain. People screamed and scattered. We have to go, Jonathan urged, voice rising above the turmoil. As they turned to flee, a sudden feeling washed over Evelyn, a sinking realization that twisted everything she thought she knew. If Jonathan was here, what else had been hidden from her? Who truly was Marcus, and what tangled web had they all fallen into? With the flames dancing higher, and fear clawing at her heart, she understood. Their lives were woven together by dark secrets and fading echoes of the past. As the world around them crumbled, a raw question hung in the air. What would it cost to uncover the truth? Evelyn's heart pounded as shadows shifted and chaos unfolded around them. The flames cast flickering light on Marcus, Jonathan, and Ava, creating an urgent backdrop to their shared turmoil. With the crowd backing away, the atmosphere felt charged, ripe with the weight of old wounds and unresolved fears. Jonathan, I need answers, Evelyn shouted, desperate for clarity. The world spun, debris and smoke swirling above her like a hurricane. She felt like she was drowning in confusion. Just trust me, Jonathan shouted back, urgency etched across his face. Those words hung, heavy and thick, like a fog clouding her mind. Trust, after everything? Marcus's voice cut through, pain and anger colliding. His eyes held a mixture of guilt and fear. And suddenly, the air shattered with a loud bang. A gas canister exploded nearby, sending shockwaves that knocked everyone off balance. They stumbled backward, eyes wide with panic. Evelyn barely managed to catch Ava, pulling her close as debris rained down. "Get to the alley," Jonathan yelled, but he hesitated, looking at the chaos around them. From the wreckage, the woman with the knife rose once more, a fierce determination fueling her. There was something unsettling in her gaze, a hint of recognition that sent shivers down Evelyn's spine. "Foolish boy," she snarled, directing her fury at Marcus. "You think you can outrun your blood? It's in you." Her words rolled over them like a dark wave. Blood? What did she mean? The puzzle pieces of Marcus's identity shifted, threatening to reveal something terrifying. "Enough!" Jonathan stepped forward, eyes blazing with an intensity that demanded attention. "You don't understand what? Forces are at play here." Then in the blink of an eye, everything shifted. The ground quaked once more, but this time, it wasn't just an earthquake. A figure emerged from the smoke, cloaked, their face hidden. It moved with an eerie grace, and Evelyn felt her skin crawl. "Get away from them!" Marcus shouted, stepping protectively in front of Ava. But the figure lifted its hood, revealing a familiar face that made Evelyn's world tilt on its axis. "Evelyn, it's me," the figure said, voice low and steady. "Mom," she gasped, disbelief flooding her senses. How could this be? A scream erupted from the woman, as if the name held power. "You," she spat, eyes narrowed in hate. "You're the one who betrayed our family." "What?" Confusion twisted Evelyn's insides, choking her. "What do you mean?" Suddenly, Marcus let out a tortured cry, staggering back. "No, you can't be." The woman's eyes glinted with victory. "You've been a pawn in a game you don't even realize you're part of." The world felt impossibly small. This was no longer just chaos. It was a battlefield of fractured loyalties. The truth, twisted in the air, sharp and unyielding. Hugh gasped, trying to catch his breath, clutching his side as he faced both women. "Stop, all of you, just stop." Evelyn felt a jolt of realization. What if everything she believed to be true was a facade? As the flames flickered dangerously close, a chilling voice echoed from beside her. "You think you know who you are, Evelyn? But you are far more than just a mere pawn." Her mother, the very woman she had thought lost. Was she speaking to her truth? Questions ripped through her, and the air crackled with tension. Visions of the life she imagined fell away, shattered like glass. As the shadows deepened, it dawned on her. The past was clawing back to claim them. The woman with the knife wasn't just an enemy. She was a part of the web they were caught in. Their family history was entangled with darkness she had yet to comprehend. Moments collided as pain surged through them. Evelyn gripped Ava tightly, the weight of devastation hanging over them all. "What are you saying?" What was it her mother meant? The words felt like knives, piercing, scorching, unrelenting. And just then, the suited man from before reappeared, a glint of urgency in his eyes. "We don't have time," he shouted over the chaos. "If we don't leave now, it won't just be your lives at stake." Evelyn's breath caught in her throat. What had she stumbled into? What real family secrets were buried deeper than she ever imagined? As the flames danced behind them, questions tangled tightly. She realized this wasn't just a dangerous game. It was a collision of destinies. Their fates were tied, and she had to decide. Would she uncover the truth, or dive deeper into the darkness? The ground trembled again, uncertainty pulling at her heart. With her next breath, she turned to face the storm. What if the truth was more terrifying than the lies? What lay ahead was unknown, but one thing was clear. The fight was just beginning. Evelyn's heart raced as the flames roared behind them. The shadows seemed to stretch and twist. moving like they had a life of their own. Everything that had just happened was a blur of panic and confusion. "Who are you?" she asked her mother, searching for some thread of understanding. "Why are you here?" The woman's eyes glistened with tears, but they held a storm of emotions beneath. "I came to warn you. You don't know the truth about Marcus. None of you do." "What truth?" Marcus spat, anger bubbling just beneath the surface. Before she could respond, the suited man interjected, desperation tinging his voice. "Stop this. We don't have time for family drama. We need to get out of here." Ava clung to Marcus, the little girl's innocent face contorted in fear. "Daddy, I don't want to be here. I'm scared." "I know, sweetheart, I'm right here." Marcus sighed, tension tightening his body. He turned to Jonathan, seeking help. "You need to help us figure this out, now." Then, as if it had been waiting for the right moment, the cloaked figure that had emerged from the smoke stepped forward, eyes locked onto Marcus. "You should have known better." The voice was chilling, echoing with authority. "You thought you could escape the truth forever." The ground shook again, more violently this time. Dust cascaded from the buildings around them, and the crowd erupted once more into chaos. Faces that had once been filled with shock were now etched with panic, running, screaming, trying to escape. In the confusion, the hooded figure unleashed a blast of energy that rippled forward. Time appeared to freeze as the world around them shimmered and twisted. Suddenly, Marcus staggered, eyes flying wide, as realization hit him like a freight train. "Wait, no, you can't mean," he stammered, shaking his head repeatedly. But the truth hovered in the air, palpable. "You've caused this, and now you'll face the consequences," the cloaked figure declared, a wicked smile growing on their lips. Evelyn felt cold fingers of dread clutch at her throat. Was this figure connected to all of them? To Marcus's secrets? The truth they had all been dancing around seemed to loom closer, itching to break free. And then in that moment of chaos, the world shifted again. In a sudden flash, they were not in the street anymore. They stood on a different ground, a vast, dark expanse that felt entirely wrong. It was surreal, as if they had been pulled from reality itself. The heat and noise of the city faded, replaced by an overwhelming silence. Evelyn blinked, throat dry and stomach twisting with fear. "Where are we?" The suited man looked around, frustration cracking his calm facade. This isn't possible." A realization hit Evelyn hard. Are we in some kind of alternate reality? Is this a trap? Suddenly, painful flashes danced across her mind. Memories of her mother, of Marcus, breaking day by day, sacrificing pieces of himself to protect what? What truth lay hidden, intertwined with their lives? The screaming echoes of desperation rang in her ears. In that chilling moment, the cloaked figure stepped closer to Marcus. "Do you really think you know who you are? Are you ready to find out?" A gasp escaped Evelyn as the figure reached out. A bolt of energy shot through the air, striking Marcus directly in the chest. He fell to his knees, gripping his heart as a blinding light enveloped him. "Marcus?" Evelyn screamed, rushing forward. But just as she reached him, the blinding light exploded, revealing a man standing there, taller and darker than Marcus had ever appeared. A version of him that felt ancient, powerful. The darkness crept around them, and Evelyn stood frozen in shock. Was this the real Marcus? What had they unleashed? "Everything you know is about to change." The figure, this darker version of Marcus, said, his voice a chilling echo of the man she thought she knew. "And what you thought was family? It's all a lie." Evelyn's breath caught. The ground felt unsteady beneath her feet. What lay ahead was an unknown territory that shattered every belief she held about truth and loyalty. The air crackled with ominous uncertainty. In that moment, one thought thumped wildly in her head. If this was really who Marcus was, then what did it mean for her, for Ava? The shadow of disbelief cast over everything as she stumbled back, grappling with the weight of this shocking revelation. What came next, and who could she really trust? The truth hung in the air, heavy and menacing, as secrets lurked in the shadows, waiting to consume everything they had ever known. As the dim light of the alternate reality flickered and warped around them, Evelyn felt the weight of despair settle in her chest like a boulder. "Who are you?" she gasped at the dark figure that towered over Marcus, who now knelt, gasping for air. "I'm the truth he's been running from," the figure said, voice low, almost a growl. "The truth that connects us all." Evelyn's heart raced. This wasn't just about Marcus anymore. It was about all of them. Memories flashed through her mind, her mother's laughter, the warmth of her brother's embrace, the loss of it all. "No, that's a lie," she cried, shaking her head, as everything she thought she knew began to crumble. The cloaked figure stepped closer, eyes like burning coals. "You don't want to know the secrets, do you? The blood that ties you to him?" "To me?" The crowd had faded, the world outside the chaos lost to them. It felt impossibly silent, like they were suspended in time. Jonathan stepped forward, face pale but resolute. "Evelyn, we can't let him manipulate us. You have to remember who you are. We are stronger together." Suddenly, Marcus sprang up, determination filling him. "I've hidden for too long. You want me to face the truth? Then let's drain the shadows." Shouts erupted from the hooded figure. "You'll regret this." But now, with Jonathan alongside her, Evelyn could feel a stir of bravery unfurling inside her. "No, we won't let the darkness win." She felt Ava grip her hand tighter, and that connection lit a fire in her heart. With that spark, a surge of energy pulsed between them, infusing the air with an electric hum. They were more than just bystanders in this twisted tale. They were family, blood, bound by something deeper than the horrors unfurling around them. "Together," Jonathan shouted, and they all linked hands. Evelyn, Marcus, Jonathan, and Ava. In that instant, the shadows around them quivered and dimmed. "Now!" Marcus cried, thrusting energy forward with everything he had. Light erupted from their connection, illuminating the darkness. The ground shook with a force that felt like the pulse of the earth itself. The cloaked figure staggered back, eyes wide with shock as the darkness around them splintered, cracking like glass. "No!" he roared, but their light consumed him, pulling him into the void of his own corruption. With one final burst, the energy exploded outward, pushing Evelyn and her family back into the familiar chaos of their world. Dust and debris floated in the air like memories, ghosts of the battle fresh in their minds. Evelyn blinked, finding herself back on the street, surrounded by the astonished faces of onlookers and the crackling of the fire dying out. The world was chaotic around them, but here, in this moment, they were free. Marcus collapsed to his knees, overwhelmed, face pale but filled with relief. "It's over," he whispered, his voice trembling with the weight of it all. Ava rushed to him, tears streaming down her face. "Daddy, you okay?" With trembling hands, Marcus pulled her close, burying his face in her wild curls. "I'm okay, sweetheart. I'm okay." Evelyn and Jonathan exchanged glances, tears in their eyes. "We did it," Evelyn breathed, voice thick with emotion. The weight of their shared history had shifted, and in this moment they had all fought for the truth. But the past still loomed over them like an unfinished story. It had left scars, scars that would take time to mend. She felt a tightness in her throat, but also a flicker of hope. "We'll figure this out, as a family." As the sun set, painting the sky in hues of orange and purple, she tightened her grip around Jonathan's hand. Together, they would start anew. They would face whatever the future held, stronger for everything they had endured. This was where their journey truly began. Listen up. This is the moment to show your support. If you want to continue experiencing these incredible stories, you have to subscribe right now. Don't wait even one more second. Smash that like button to feed the algorithm that keeps this channel alive. We want to hear your thoughts and theories about this ending, so flood the comments section below. And tag at least 5 friends who need to see how this ends. Share this video immediately. Remember, Real fans know how crucial it is to support the channel through these actions. Let's keep this community thriving.